In this video, we're going to look at an application of systems of equations. For the 2009 Major League Baseball and National Football League seasons, based on average ticket prices, 3 baseball tickets and 2 football tickets would have cost $229.90. 2 baseball tickets and 1 football ticket would have cost $128.27. What were the average ticket prices for the tickets for the 2 sports? In any kind of application problem, any story problem where you're setting up an equation, you have to define your variables. So we have to figure out, what are we looking for? What don't we know? We don't know the average ticket price for the 2 sports, all right? So we want to define those variables. And you can pick whatever variables you want. I usually like to pick variables that help me remember what it represents. So I'm going to let B equal the average price of a baseball ticket. And don't just write baseball, right? Baseball is not a value. Baseball is not a number. So you want your variables to represent a number. And I'm going to let F equal the average price of a football ticket. Now we need to write some equations. Football ticket. All right, let's go back and see what the problem tells us. First thing I see is, based on average ticket prices, 3 baseball tickets and 2 football tickets would cost $229.90. All right, there's an equation right there. Can you write that equation? Maybe pause the video and see if you can write that equation. All right, so you should have 3 baseball tickets plus 2 football tickets cost $229.90. $229.90. All right, let's look for our next equation. What do we got here? 2 baseball tickets and 1 football ticket would have cost $128.27. All right, why don't you pause the video and see if you can write an equation to represent that sentence. 2 baseball tickets plus 1 football ticket is $128.27. Those were the days. All right, so now we have our system of equations. That's great. So now we want to solve this system by either using substitution or elimination. When you're using substitution, you need to get one of these variables, this b, this f, this b, or this f by itself. And honestly, that wouldn't be too hard. I would pick to get this f by itself by moving this 2b to the other side. The other thing you could do is elimination, and it's kind of set up nicely for elimination as well, because you have all of your b terms lined up, your f terms, your equal signs, and your constants. So I think we'll do it both ways. Let's go ahead and start with elimination. Now, when you're doing elimination, you're going to add the 2 equations together, and you need one of the variables to drop out. If I add them together right now, I'm going to have 5 b's and 3 f's, and that's not going to have one of my variables dropping out. So let's see. If I want to get the f term to drop out, I would need a -2 in front of that f. Well, all I have to do then is multiply the entire equation by -2. All right, so I'm going to rewrite my first equation, 3b plus 2f equals 229.90, and just bring that down. And now I'm going to multiply that light blue equation by -2. And I have to multiply every single term by -2. All right, I have to do this and this and that. So what do we get here? -256.54. Now, if we add these 2 equations together, the f terms are going to drop out. So we're going to add straight down. 3b take away 4b is -1b. 2f take away 2f is nothing, and you don't have to write that if you don't want. And then if we do this subtraction, and that comes out to be -2664. So my b term is negative here. I don't want that, so I'm going to multiply both sides by -1, and we get b equals 2664. All right, and that is one of my answers. That's how much a baseball ticket cost. Now I still need to figure out how much a football ticket costs. So I'm going to go up here and use one of my equations, equation 1 or equation 2. I think I'll use equation 2. 2 times b plus f equals 128.27. And I'm going to plug in my value of b. And you could use either one. It doesn't matter. Sorry, that's 20. Oh yeah, 2664. Okay. So 2 times 2664 is 5328 plus f. And then I'll just subtract the 5328 from both sides. And I get 74.99. All right, and that is the cost of my football ticket. Excellent. All right, so just for practice, let's solve this again using substitution. Okay, so let's go over here and write our two equations out again. We have 3b plus 2f equals 229.90, and 2b plus f equals 128.27. Now notice I'm not stacking these equations when I'm writing them. When you're doing the substitution method, it's better to not stack them. So now I need to get, and you'll see why here in a second. So I'm trying to get one of these four variables by itself on one side of the equation. This is going to be the easiest one to do because all you have to do is minus the 2b. Any term that has a coefficient in front of it, these 2's and 3's, you would have to end up dividing by those 2's or 3's, and that's going to make your life, possibly could make your life fraction-y. It will still work, but it's just going to be more difficult. So I'm going to subtract 2b from both sides, so I get f equals 128.27 minus 2b. So now this is where the substitution takes place. So I can take this expression and substitute it over here where this f is. Why can I do that? Well, because f is equal to this thing. F is equal to the expression 128.27 minus 2b. All right, so I'm going to bring this down 3b plus 2 times, and this is where I'm going to do my substituting. 229.90. I'm going to substitute into here my expression for f, which is 128.27 minus 2b. That's the substitution part. That's why it's called substitution. Now, once I've done that substitution, I have an equation here that just has b's in it. So I can just solve it like any other equation. I'm going to start by getting rid of the parentheses. And actually, it might be good for you to pause the video here and solve it and see if you can get the right answer. All right, let's see how you did. So after this distributing, you should get this minus 4b. And now we can get our b terms together. And we can subtract 256. This is starting to look like the elimination, isn't it? Sort of the same numbers as we have over here on the right. Okay, so that equals negative 2664, just like it did on the other side. Multiply both sides by -1, we get positive 2664, and then again we would want to take the 2664 and plug it back in for b to find the value of f. All right, well, I hope that helps, and hopefully it was satisfying to see that whether you use substitution or elimination, you should get the same answer.